investors, especially beginners, because there are so many emotions that can come into play, right? Like greed or pride or hope. But if you have those sell rules like you're talking about, that can help you from suffering huge losses.
Look, everyone has fear, hope, and greed. That's what makes the market go up and what makes it come down. And anybody who tells you that they are not trading with those emotions, are they're either lying to you or they don't realize that they're doing that. Now, what you want to do is reduce those emotions by having sound rules that you believe in, and so study the market, study what works. It doesn't take a lot of time. Just look at what's been working recently, and have some ideas. Say, well, I wonder if I bought it every time it came down and touched the 50-day, how would that work? Or every time it goes into new highs after it's been going sideways for 5 weeks. Just come up with your rules. We have all of our rules. We have tons of education, but it's fun to investigate and do this yourself. And then the more rules you have, you just then know what to do. Now, if you break rules, that's when the emotions start building up. But if you have a good set of rules that you believe in and you understand, and even if they're very simple, buy it right, buy it at a point that's logical, have a stop loss, and don't average down. All of a sudden, those emotions that build up every day is going to be less. And you want to have fun with this. This is a good. This is a good time. Just like Dave likes to go and bet on games. I don't know the first thing about betting on a game. I would like flip a coin and to decide, who I'd want to bet on for a football game. And so he has an edge there. With trading, we have an edge with the rules that the firm has developed over the years.
Yeah, and that's going to show up in the results in your portfolio, right? And just like cutting losses, talk to us briefly about taking those profits on the way up, because that's also where greed can come into play. If you start making a lot of money on a trade, you don't want to give up those gains. So, you might start holding and hoping when that trade starts to move against you. If you start thinking you're in love with the stock, it's never good to marry a stock.
No, you don't want to marry. You want to like what you're trading. You don't want it to just be a symbol. So, a 4-letter symbol, a 3-letter symbol. You wanted to kind of have an idea of what the company does, have a thesis of, I think this stock is moving up because more people are going to that restaurant or more people are using their iPhones, what have you. But then as you're right, you want to start taking some of those chips off the table. So just think of it, if you've ever been at a craps table and the table is hot and your stack is just growing and growing and growing. Well, what I like to do is just every once in a while take a few of those chips, put it in your pocket. And then, you know what, if table gets cold, you walk away, you go to the cashier, you still have some money. So, don't let the stocks just go way up and then way back down. And a good rule of thumb is if you're up 10% or more on a stock, raise your stop loss where you're going to cut and run up to break even. So if you buy a stock at $100, it runs up to $110. Don't let it fall back to 90. If it falls back to 100, get out of that stock. You can always buy it back. And that's one thing that people should always remember. It's okay to sell because you can buy it back.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And speaking of stocks that can go up and down very quickly, penny stocks are very emblematic of that. And there can be a lure for some investors who think that if they can get a low price stock that goes from 3 to 6, that they can double their money quickly. But what kind of trap can you fall into if you're focusing on those kinds of stocks?
Yeah, and no offense to anyone who's currently trading those, but it's cheap for a reason. The big institutions that really move stocks, up and down, they're trading in the real market where, higher price stocks that are more liquid. We consider the $2 stocks, the $5 stocks, the junk pile, because they're cheap for a reason. Now, sure, they can go